Hey everyone, we back again.
We back.
All right. I'm Spencer, and of course we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Dr. Nas. Dr. Nested Draws Nas.
I don't know why you got a lisp all of a sudden, but okay. This is the Different Spectrums podcast,
Margarita.
where we talk about movies, shows, and the mental health aspects that surround them. We also like to have some laughs, so don't take us too seriously.
Or do. It's up to you.
Also, don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. All right. So we have a lot of collaborators. So go check them out. We have Bub's Naturals, Cure Hydration. We got Silver Dollar Candle, Two Nerds Candle Company, and Cat and Raven Company. All great companies that you can get up to 20% off if you use the code DSP or DSP20, or just by going to our link tree and clicking the link below. So go check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our merch. We got some new stuff. You can be different, but you know what? Not less.
Not less.
Not less.
Not less.
So go check those out. So today we have a special guest who has been on before. Recurring guest, as they
Coming
like
back.
to call it.
She coming. She
He's
hot.
back.
She hot and spicy. Wait a minute.
I'll take that.
I'm thinking about food. That barbecue
And we can
sauce.
finally see her. So let's give a shout out to Olympia. Welcome back.
Thanks, Spencer. I'm glad to be back. What's up, Nas? Dr. Olympia O'Neill White.
Yes,
Glad
we
to be
call her Dr. O.
Dr. O. Dr.
Dr. O.
Octavius.
Dr. Otto Octavius, the great Doc Ock.
Doc Ock.
Oh my God.
For
Who
those
would have
of you
thought
that-
we'd have a Spider-Man reference in the show?
just throwing in all the stuff.
all the stuff. All
Oh,
the stuff.
there it is. There it is. I thought that was Spider Pig for a second. I was
Oh,
like, Spider Pig.
how awesome would that be? I don't know where to put him.
All right, there we go. Just throw it. There you go. Never was here. All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at a scene from the show The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. There it is. It's an Amazon Prime show. You can go check it out. But we're going to be taking a look at a funeral scene with some very colorful language, as they like to call it.
I like it. Feels normal.
I didn't see anything wrong with it. That's usually how it goes.
It'll feel good coming off your tongue sometimes, just being inappropriate.
It does.
Yeah. Seemed like our show when we first started. So
Yeah.
You thought our dialogue was rough. Let me tell you, this scene about to get to. But yeah, we're going to be checking out that scene. We're also going to be talking about just being recognized and kind of those who are invisible, even though they do a lot of great things. So we'll be checking that out. Nas, anything before we get into the show?
Yeah, so obviously the show's main character is Miss Maisel, Midge. She's a comedian. So centered around her. Susie, what we're going to be talking about today is there's a couple very powerful scenes throughout the 5, 6, whatever seasons I've watched. This is one of them. I've been wanting to get to this. A couple folks asked me about getting to this show, and I thought this scene, even though not the star of the show, is something interesting that I feel like a lot of us are going through these days. Not being noticed, getting the raw end of the deal, short end of the stick. Right, having everything against us, financially, emotionally, economically, socially, just marginalized stuff. So I'm excited to talk about this scene. I think it ties into the funeral I just went to as well. So maybe I'll ask y'all about some of that stuff too. We'll get into it. As we know, this is a Monday release. So the Mondays are usually shorter pods, usually funnier pods. We usually nerd off and diverge into different random things. So we'll see what happens. But know, folks, that every Thursday's the tough ones. And this week, Ooh, this week I think it's Christina's, so I think it's the Bear that's coming this Thursday. So today's
Nice.
Monday, and then Thursday's the Bear. So y'all in for a hell of a show for that one. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's probably one of our best pods.
Yep, one of our best ones. All right,
Yeah.
let's get into it. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about a whole lot of like emotional damage.
Emotional
Damage.
Yes. All right. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. Come on.
You know it. Say it. Say
Come
you
on.
got it.
You know it.
Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
There it is.
There it is. Jesus Christ. You've already been on the fucking show.
Jesus Christ.
Our guests that we didn't even have on 1 minute, and they're like, whoop, whoop.
Yep. This is why I don't trust kids anymore, man. They just don't know. Fucking kids. These new age people, man.
Kids.
They don't get it. They
I don't know.
These millennials.
All your hippity dippity talk.
Yeah. While you're talking about your feelings, can't even remember.
Talking about woke and shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Listen, I stepped back into nostalgia for a minute with one of my favorite cartoons sitting on your couch. I got distracted. My bad.
Oh,
I know.
Ren and Stimpy. Good old Ren and Stimpy.
FYI.
So,
No, we'll get into it. No, we'll get into Stimpy after this. All right. Let's get into the scene.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our show today. We just wanted to take some time to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Cat and Raven Design. They are a small queer-owned business that specializes in LGBTQ plus pride soaps. They have great designs, some that even look good to eat, but don't. You can get 10% off your entire order if you use the code DSP or go to our link tree. Help support this great small business and help give back to a great community.
Maybe I should have worn something else.
Like what?
I don't know. Like a dress?
I can't. I'm trying to picture. Have you ever worn a dress?
Of course I wore a dress. I was a baby once.
Okay.
You know, helpless.
Sorry.
I was fucking adorable in a dress.
This way, I guess.
Did you get the time wrong?
I did not get the time wrong.
Because you have a problem with time.
I did not get the time wrong.
Susie, thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah, sure. Nancy, this is
You must be Miriam, the comedian.
Yes. I'm so sorry about Jackie. I'm really gonna miss him.
You know, he sent me clippings about you all the time. He was very proud.
Oh. Well, that's really sweet.
I saved you both seats, but...
Where is everyone?
Oh, well, I sent the word out. I went through his phone book, and the Monsignor made some calls. Just didn't get much of a response. Oh, excuse me.
He saved my clippings.
Chester! Chester! What the fuck?
They have onion sandwiches.
Sit. And don't breathe out.
I didn't think Jackie thought I was funny.
Well, it's past 3 now, so we should probably get started.
I'm keeping this.
Welcome, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out today to say goodbye to one of our favorite sons, Jacopo, Jackie, Della Pietro. I'm Monsignor Monorici of the Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the church that Jackie was so active in all of his life.
You went to church?
I've known Jackie since he was a little boy, and, well, I would be lying if I said we didn't find a need to keep a tight lock on the older wine. Many a morning, we found that the blood of Christ had been replaced with Dr. Pepper. He was also the first one to lend a hand. Now, I can't prove that he was the one who built the new platform for the manger scene when the old one got destroyed by vandals, but I'll bet it was him. Lots of little stories about Jackie I could share. But I think I'm going to turn the podium over to someone who's very special to him, someone he always referred to as one of his closest friends. Susie?
That's you.
No, he said one of his closest friends.
Well, unless another Susie just walked in. Hey, tits up.
Hi. Guess I'm Susie. And, Nancy asked me to talk, so... Fuck this. Follow me. Hi. Sorry. I'll just be a minute here. Supposed to say a few words about Jackie Della Pietra, who's over there across the hall in the empty loser room. But, well, I can't talk about him to an empty room. That's not how it should go. It's not how he should be remembered. Or not remembered, because apparently no one remembered because nobody showed up. Except 4 people. 4 people to send you off. Where the fuck was everyone? A man dies, you show up at his funeral, right? This was Jackie. I mean, he never hurt anyone. He lived his life, he did nice things, he fixed up my shitty apartment, put up curtains, he painted, he made stew, he built whatever the hell it was he built for the fucking Monsignor over there. Apparently no one gave a shit. No one noticed. Fuck, I lived with the guy and I didn't notice. We slept very close. I mean, I knew personal things about the guy. You know, he snores. Certain foods did not agree with him. You kept the windows open on those nights. I knew his laundry day. I knew when he cut his hair, shit like that, but I never knew him. I never knew he fought in the war. I never knew he got a medal for bravery. I mean, they don't just hand those out. You gotta get shot or save somebody or blow up a fucking tank. A medal is a big deal. He collected Bazooka Joe comics. He kept the little ticket stubs to the opera. He had a baseball signed by Babe Ruth. Can you fucking believe that? Jackie met Babe Ruth. I mean, he kept it in a shoebox like an asshole, but he had it. I mean, this guy lived a life, and I never knew any of this. I mean, it was just a minute ago I found out I was his friend. No, I'm sorry, one of his closest friends. I had a close friend, and I never knew it. And where the fuck is Darla? She couldn't take off one afternoon to come and pay her respects to a man she wrote 51 fucking idiotic letters to? A heart over every eye. It was so important she couldn't take the time off to come and give this man a proper send-off. She better be dead. You know, I really don't understand. How is it a decent guy, a guy who worked his ass off his entire life, how is it he could barely afford to sublet the corner of my shithole apartment? I mean, he never caught a break. He never got ahead. How fucked up is that? And all these fucking horrible assholes in the world that just get shit handed to them. And this guy fought in a war. He traveled. Oh, he won a Lindy contest. I didn't know Jackie could dance. Half the time it didn't seem like he could walk. But there is a first-place ribbon sitting in this fucking weather-beaten, rat-eaten, fucked-up little box that he shoved in a corner. A man's life in a shitty box. A really good man's life. You know, a man who deserved something, and he wound up sprinkling sawdust on vomit at the gaslight. This can't continue, okay? I cannot stand by and watch this happen to another poor slob, so I am dedicating the rest of my miserable fucking life to finding the Jackies of the world. The ones you'll walk by, the ones you don't see, the ones who never catch a break. And I'm gonna make sure that they never, ever end up in my fucking apartment. Oh, and I'm really sorry about this lady. I'm sure she was very nice, too.
Hey everyone, before we get into the show, please check out our collaborator, Bubs Naturals. They sell a variety of health and wellness products, including collagen peptides, MCT oil powder, coffee, apple cider vinegar gummies, and other amazing products. Go to bubsnaturals.com and use our code DSP20 to get 20% off your entire order. And with that, let's get into the show.
All right, and we back again.
We back and we're live for now.
For now, unless
until Olympia decides to end us and our podcast for teasing her mercilessly. Ooh, I said that word correctly today.
There you go.
Yes. So please let us live. Please.
Yes. Yes, please.
I'm gonna let you have it for my entertainment. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
fair enough. Yeah, man.
Am I attracted right now? What is going on?
You shouldn't have said that.
How'd you know I was a bottom?
Ah. And kinkiness awoken.
Yeah,
There we
hey.
go.
Let's talk about it.
Let's fuck the scene. Wait a minute.
Oh my word.
Oh. So, Dr. Olympia, how have you been? What have you been up to since we last talked for Queen Charlotte? The episode?
And I still think back to that episode, and I'm so happy to be back. Thank you. What am I up to? Oh my God, a lot of speaking. I'll be speaking for quite a few conferences coming up. One of the big ones, the Social Work Wealth Conference. We're talking all about the money,
Nice.
and how to make more of it as social workers, build generational wealth. A lot of big names are going to be there. So I'm excited about that. I am writing a book because, who cares about sleep and my hairline, right? Who cares about that? So I'm writing a whole book. So be on the lookout for that next year. I'll definitely drop more details as it goes along.
Okay. And when and where is the event that you're going to be at?
Ooh, the Social Work Wealth Conference is actually a virtually based conference.
Oh, okay.
Cool. And it is, I want to say October 19th and October 20th. It's spearheaded by social worker Eva Ford. A lot of big names in social work are attached to it. Rita Wolfson from the Center of Financial Social Work, Harlene Vasquez, Catherine Moore, a lot of the bigger names. So I'm excited about it. It'll be good.
So that's amazing. Wow. Now that you kind of talk about, I know you probably don't want to go into too much detail about it, but like, what is kind of like the overarching story that you're kind of trying to tell about your book here?
Oh my goodness. The survival guide for successful social workers. I don't know about, listen, Nas, I don't know about you, but I got told we're in it for the outcome, not the income. And I rebuke that statement post-graduation because my bills don't care about that.
Yeah.
And my lifestyle doesn't either.
Yeah.
So with the survival guide of successful social workers, it's actually 2 parts, one for post-grad social workers and then one for students. And it's all about different tips, tricks, worksheets, all the things that I wish I myself or my colleagues, we wish we would have known in social work when we came in, how to get somebody else to pay for the degrees. And if they don't pay for the degrees, give them to pay for the loans, choosing your niche, finding your thing in social work. So there are just a lot of different awesome topics that I think will help the profession and lighten it up a little bit.
Any working title yet?
The Survival Guide for Successful Social Workers.
Survival Guide for Successful. Okay. All right. So when it comes out, we'll link it to the recommended books that we have on our link tree.
Awesome. So excited.
And then you'll also send us a copy, right?
Yes. That'll be free.
Come on over.
Should have asked that from our last guest, but nope, didn't ask that.
I'll go back and send some emails like, hey, we don't have you on.
Hey, yeah, we're giving you a lot of attention, so why don't you?
I can promote you, but I can destroy you.
Oh, this can be done as long as it's for the low.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we should start asking for that because there's been a lot of awesome people that have written books, children's books, like worksheets and stuff like that. So yeah, we're already promoting them. We might as well ask to get a little taste, a little sample.
Just a little bit. Not asking for much, just a book.
One book.
Yep. One book. It's just split between us.
Yeah, just split between. I'll read it first. I ain't reading it. And then you can read it, and then you won't read it.
Nope. I'll just be like, well.
I can put that on the shelf with all the other books.
Y'all be wild.
Oh, that's a great book title. Love it. Love it.
It's a good. She looked good in that picture, though. Okay.
All right. Do you want to? Nice. Do you want to give a little intro to the show and kind of what it's about and who are these lovely little characters that we're taking a look at today?
Let me get into the mode. Okay. So yeah, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, as he said, an Amazon original. It's been out for years and years and years. It just had its grand finale this year. I think it was this year. That's why I started watching it again, and I finally finished it. And so, what it is about this comedian that is in this patriarchal family, this Jewish family in New York, father's a mega scientist, mom's a stay-at-home, high pressure, home family values. Wife stays at home, cooks, cleans, doesn't say shit. She's like, nah, I think I'm gonna do that. She does that, has a husband, has kids, like has some like depression issues. Husband's thinking about stepping out on her. She ends up like cheating on him, and besides the point. So it's a very affluent family, and it's her wanting to be this comedian. Her husband's trying to be one. He's not that funny. She goes on stage one day just randomly and knocks it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts doing gigs and starts having fun with it and starts building up her reputation. And it's about the trials and tribulations of a woman in the 50s and 60s when she's not supposed to be on stage and being funny and not just like some sexy woman up there, slanging her body. This is and not singing either. It's about her because everyone asks her to sing and be pretty. It's about her being funny in this thing that's only meant for men, this boys club. And they want her to be like real PC when they talk because the raunchy stuff's supposed to be for men, but she's really good at the raunchy stuff. And I think it was role modeled. What was the comedian I said it was role modeled after, Spence?
Joan?
Joan Rivers.
Yes.
Joan Rivers, I think. Yeah.
Joan Rivers.
Yep. And so it's supposed to be role modeled lightly after their career. And it's ups and downs. I would also say that Midge, this person, has like some personality disorder issues, some narcissism issues. She is not the best person to her friends, let alone her children or her ex-husband. Some weird stuff. But it's a love story. It's a career story. It's a women's empowerment story. But specifically this scene is her and her manager, which are best friends. They end up breaking up later in the seasons and then end up coming back together at the very last episode. And her manager is let's say, for lack of a better word, very depressive, very negative, very poor, very mean-spirited. She's a gay woman, but decides to never be in relationships, and she's very isolated, very avoidant personality disorder, very avoidant with everything because of traumas in life. You find out later on that she was in love once. That person destroyed them, and then end up going into a straight relationship and then just kicking her to the curb, Susie, while she was in college. It's a horrific story. But they don't let you know this until the end. This scene is about Susie being in this cheap apartment for years. She lets this guy that cleans up at the bar, he's just a janitor. She lets him stay in this house. And this house, Spencer, is no bigger than probably like a closet. It's legitimately the size of probably two closets. The kitchen's in there, a crapper's in there, a shower's in there, and one little bed. And somehow they fit two people in this little closet in New York that's technically in the basement of a building. And she always gets mad at him, but he's good at cooking and cleaning. He does all this cool shit. He fixes everything up in the house while they're traveling on the road. He's like a legit cool dude. Helps her take notes, take some of the phone calls. He's like a second assistant. He's like, I'm your assistant. She's like, no, you're not. I'm not paying you. He's like, I'm your assistant. And he seems to be a sweet guy. And so he passes away. And with that, she's devastated. Susie goes back. They go to the funeral, and as all of you see, no one's there. She feels that it's very disrespectful because when she was there, she starts crying in their apartment, because she opens up that suitcase and there's so much stuff in there. He dances. He was in the military. I didn't know this. He was a chef and all this. She finds out all these things about him that she never knew, and yet she lived with him for years. And I feel like that's an issue in today's society, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. And how we don't see people. Most of us don't care to see people. We get stuck on ourselves. We don't ask questions anymore. We don't actually invest in others. I think some of us don't even see the point of community. You may play video games with someone for 7 years and you don't even know anything. But people like me don't operate that. I like questions. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's the scene, is her starting some shit in the funeral and wanting his remembrance to be more than an empty room, because no one should die like that. She should have a proper send-off. And it just so happens that I attended a funeral this week, and I think we'll tie into that and maybe our experiences with folks that go to funerals, and maybe that can help some of the neurodivergent folks that listen to us or other people that listen to us, like, process funerals a little bit better, or maybe let them know that funerals are all weird as shit, and like we've all felt that vibe too. So that's the background of it. I think that's why I want us to take us to go, and Lord knows we just gonna go wherever the hell we go. So, Spence, you got any questions to kick it over to Dr. O?
Let's see.
Because if not, I got some too.
Okay. I mean, yeah. Why don't we start off with what were your experiences in funerals? Like I probably have a very different, very different experience than you. So if you want to start with that.
Oh gosh. I guess it depends on what kind of funerals we're talking about, right? I've been to funerals that kind of come from a Caribbean culture, and then I've been to American funerals. And what I will say is, honestly, I go out of my way to avoid American funerals. That sounds messed up, right? But it just the energy is off. You have a lot of folks that are coming in there with their own nuances, their own relationship with this person, whatever that relationship was, and kind of acting out that thing in this environment where everyone's wearing black. I question whether the pastor, clergy, or whoever really knew this person. And it's weird energy. It's very negative. It's very sad. And of course, losing life in itself is sad, but I'm not used to celebrating, or excuse me, I guess that's the thing. I'm not used to mourning, I guess, in that way. It's more so a celebration of life. When I think about funerals, you go, you're not wearing black, you're wearing bright colors. There are alcoholic beverages. You're doing a lot of storytelling about the experiences that this person had, or the experiences you had with them, and the light or the life that they lived. It's not really focused on the doom and gloom of it. So funerals can be pretty weird.
Yeah.
Totally.
Spence, how was it? You been to any funerals, and if so, were they like this? And like, how did you? Obviously, they weren't like this because she was just up there swearing.
Yeah, like fucking fuck.
But it was a celebration of life. I mean, right? She did good at celebrating his life in those moments. In this,
yeah, I think so. But I would no. It was I mainly have gone to like Catholic funerals, and those are depression is shit. I mean, Catholicism in general is just fucking depressing. So you put death with it, you're just like, oh yeah, this is real good stuff. Yeah. So when I lost my aunt, she had a huge turnout because she was also like a teacher. So so she had a lot of people in there, and she, just her personality in general was very outgoing and stuff, and people really loved her, and so she had a huge turnout when it came to the funeral. And yeah, it's just sad stuff. Even I cried like after they put her in the ground and stuff like that. It was just like, that was tough because that was like, the final. Yeah. Right. So there's that. And then been to my grandma's. That one was also Catholic. And so it was like, so for my aunt, she was in the like really big cathedral over in St. Paul, like where they have like huge mass and everything like that. So they had her stuff there. And then my grandma's was at a church over near this school called Annunciation, where I used to go. And that was a pretty big church. And then for my grandpa, it was like it was pretty much just, he was cremated, so it was pretty much just like I want to say like 6 or 7 of us, and we were all gathered around like his like memorial or whatever, and then they just kind of lowered him or his ashes down into the ground and stuff like that. So wasn't a huge turnout, but at the same time he was like one of the biggest people I know when it comes to like personality wise, especially when you kind of think of me / looks too, because I look just like him. So yeah, great guy, but at the same time he was very kind of like isolated, kind of like me sometimes. So
Right.
yeah. How
Happens.
about you, Naz?
Uh,
Did you just got back from a funeral? Do you
yeah.
want to get into that craziness, or do you want to go with something else first?
No, we can get into that, because I'm also thinking like maybe this can be like a beginner's guide on how to survive funerals. Maybe that's what the pod will morph into,
Yeah.
to help teach folks on how to deal with these things, and we'll talk about communication and recognizing people.
Right.
So I've been to many. Been to my namesake Nazir. Went to his. I remember talking to my sister actually when we were eating at the dinner afterwards. After the funeral, and I said, "Yeah, I remember a lot of things." She said, "You do?" I said, "I remember my grandpa's funeral." She's like, "I remember that." I said, I remember Pops going to the funeral." She's like, "You remember your father at the funeral?" I said, "Yeah, he was incarcerated." So, "Oh, I don't even remember that." I said, "Yep, I remember him being chained. And I remember him being chained and then leaving. I remember him smoking the cigarette, flicking it as I watched him walk away in the parking lot." She's like, "That's pretty fucked up." She's like, "You need a therapist for that one." I said, "Yeah, you think?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember a lot of stuff."
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the first ones. I remember grandma and grandpa on my mom's side. Remember my aunt Irma's. I remember my mother's. That was 6 years ago, and then my brother's that was 5 years ago, and then my cousin that was just this week. So I've been to them. I've done a eulogy at one for Big Bro. I wanted to do one for Mom, but I decided not to. I did one for Big Bro, and that was intense. It was probably like a week or so of thinking on what to say and stewing on it and being anxious about it. Imagine prepping for an interview, Spence,
Yeah.
and a speech for an interview. The same type of vibes, just longer and like more pressure to say the right thing, knowing that you're going to cry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think at some point I'll probably have to give like a speech for somebody, and
yeah,
I'm just like, jeez, like you don't want to think about that shit,
no.
because you don't want to think about that, but at the same time, it's just like it does. Like sometimes it randomly just kind of like goes through my mind. I'm like, what would I say for this person after they died and stuff like that? So
That's
I'm kind of
actually
interested in see what you said. Yeah.
very normal, Spence, what you just said. So others might have that fear as well. I have a lot of neurodivergent clients that will, man, I don't know what's going to happen when my mom or dad dies, or like when my sister dies, right? People think about those things and what would they say? Or people will think, what would they say at my funeral? Am I
Yeah.
living the right way to where people will say good things at my funeral?
Mm-hmm.
So that was intense with Big Bro. I remember working and doing grounding techniques like over and over and over at the funeral, because I kept like getting overstimulated and wanting to break down.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept breathing and doing meditation things while sitting at one of the pews in the church. And then I end up talking about, having everyone has this magic spark of madness, of creativity, of love, of excitement. And that's what my brother had, among some other things. But that's one of the things that he had. And I talked about don't lose that. And that spark is in his daughter, which is my niece, which I'm going to her baptism for her quinceanera, which is the following year. I'm going to that 10 days from now. So I'll go to that, and hopefully she still has that spark from her father, a very innocent young woman. And if she's anything like her dad, minus the bipolar and other incarceration shit, she'll be really good. Because he was actually quite lovely, if not for like all the other things. Still though, he was a good dude at the end.
Yeah.
It's sad when people finally get their lives together and then they pass. So at least they got their life together, but still sad that they passed.
Right.
FYI, folks, real quick, I need to pause this and do a PSA. Go to the fucking doctor. Everyone go to the doctor. And if you're a man, woman, I don't give a fuck what gender you are, please go to the doctor if you're listening to this pod. Do your physicals, get your blood drawn, get your blood pressure, your sugar checked out. Please go get these things. If you're over a certain age, make sure you're getting your stool checked out. It can save your life. You can catch these cancers really, really soon. Right? If you're a woman, make sure you're going to your OBGYN. Make sure you're also going to get your mammograms done. The preventable things. Preventable things. You don't have to die for these things if you go to your doctor and start getting these checkups. Right? Nick, cousin, just died from diabetes, type 1. And all of it was very preventable through diet and actually taking the medication. So when you're non-compliant, you die of diabetes. And that's what happened. At 33, left behind 2 kids. And this is no shame or no judgment on him. I'm just saying that these are things that could have been prevented. But, a lot of brown folks and black folks really struggle to go to these doctors to take our meds, think that we're tougher and we're just it will be fine and we'll be okay. And that's not true. That's not true. Our bodies are just as precious and vulnerable as all these other white individuals. So everyone, go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. Listen to your social worker or your counselor. Go get your shit checked out. Just go do it. If your parents are struggling and they're older, take their ass to the doctor, as I do with my father. Just do it. Spence, we just did the Creed. We just launched the Creed podcast on Thursday, where we talked about, his cancer diagnosis and then Creed getting Rocky to go, actually work on it. And I said, it made me think about Pops and like the arguments that we had about him going to get these MRIs a couple months ago. Like full-blown arguments. I'm like, man, we need to do this. Hey, it don't matter why now we know. We get peace of mind. And Spencer said, I wouldn't want to go to the doctor if I was your dad either. You can go to the doctor and just get bad news. So who the fuck wants the bad news?
And then it's not just him hearing it, it's also you hearing it as well.
True.
So I get where he's coming. Like, I understand going to the doctor and everything like that, and I have no problem with that. But I also kind of see it from his point of view as well, kind of being like, well, I gotta hear this bad news, and then also you got to hear it too. And I understand you want clarity, as well. So
maybe something could be fixable, maybe not.
Yeah.
A lot of people just say there's no point. Like Rocky said, right? I'm old. I'm ready to die. I'm tired.
I mean, a lot of people stick their head in the sand and would much rather just continue existing as if whatever the problem isn't there. But there is a lot of strength and just decision. There's an ability to make a change if you know what's going on. So pursue the no, even though the no might be uncharted territory.
Yeah. Like you said, uncharted territory, maybe there's some solutions, maybe things can get better. I don't know. But before that, preventative care is something that all of us need to start doing. I know I distracted us from the pod, but I needed to say that was the mother. She said, people, go take care of your diabetes. She said it twice, once during the wake, once during the funeral. She said, we need to learn something from this. Take your asses to the doctor. She said, there's too many of us out here in this crowd that are getting ready to end up dying from diabetes. And as we know, it affects the black and brown communities more than others. So that was a little PSA. Back to the scene. So funerals. The eulogy was fun but tough, sad but uplifting. I think one of my uncles said, well, I didn't know I was going to have to follow up a professional speech giver. And I was like, shit, I don't even know what the fuck I just said. So
I just said ramblings, but fruity pebbles.
I cried like 3 times, but I held it in. What?
Did you make that noise as well?
You were a strong man to do it. Honestly, I respect my no boundary. I'm a firm believer in read your emotional battery. If you don't have the capacity to engage in something like that, don't do it. I have denied eulogies before. Not that I don't have love for the person that we're celebrating, but if I ain't got it, I ain't got it. I can't do it. You would rather have somebody else up there.
True. I know I was one of the better speakers in the crowd, and I'm a brother, so I'm like, this is something I have to do. It didn't matter. There is no boundary on this one. You have to do it. You have to do it. And you didn't do it for Ma, you got to do it for brother. Because Ma had some people go up there and speak real good. Brother was a little different, and so there might not have been the talkers there. Different crowd. And so I decided I got to step up and make sure that this is something good for the girl too. So I did that. I thought about saying something at the last one, And my cousin, not for necessarily him, but for other people that are grieving, as me being the therapist in there, right? I know some of these things. I can maybe help some folks heal, provide resources. Right. But yeah, know your boundaries, know your limits, and then some of us will just have to do it. Just sometimes you just will have to, and then you'll prep it. I remember being in the weight room. It's like 1 a.m, maybe like the last day before I had to go to Texas for the funeral. It was up in Minnesota. I was at the Snap Fitness and a boy walks in there and he goes, "Hey man, you good?" I said, "Why, what's up?" He said, "You've been over here just like sitting staring." And I look up and he's like, "Oh shit, you good, man?" I was like, "I'm good." One of my homies that goes in the gym real late like me, I was practicing the eulogy. And he's like, "I'm here to talk." And so we just talked about what was going on and why I was over here just crying in the fucking corner and like this CrossFit type of Snap Fitness. Funerals are weird, man. Most of the ones I've been to have been like a celebration, Olympia, though. Like there is the sad bits and the praying, and the preacher goes up there, the priest goes up there. But since it's all folks of color, there's usually stories, and all the stories are like funny ones, frustrating ones. Yeah, see, that wasn't yours, Spence. Oh, okay, yeah.
Irish Catholics, no,
no,
there's no
Irish
jokes.
Catholic different than Mexican Catholic.
only person that really joked was a priest, and he was trying to get his ass out of there so he could go to the bar. So shit, that dude was fucking Irish as shit. Irish as shit.
Yep.
His ass wanted to get out. He was like, "All right, let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap this up. Forget the meal after."
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm about to go to the bar.
We're going to the pub.
At a bar to the repast?
Oh yeah, let me tell you something.
I'm telling
Those
you,
Irish priests,
Irish
they don't fuck around.
But everyone's telling jokes and stories. People up there laughing about Ma, laughing about Benny, my brother, and then Nick. They told some funny stories about him and his boys and the happy days. One of their uncle gets up there and talks about the story how they were twins, and so the other boy, they bought him shoulder pads, and he would, as young little boys, he would pin them against each other and have them hit each other in football. I was like, this isn't good parenting.
Yes, make them fight for my amusement.
What childhood trauma will come from this?
Oh, yeah. He said he videotaped it too, just laughing.
Oh,
and
good.
he said the boy that passed, he said, "Man, the other guy is like a strong twin. He's the strong one." He hit him, and he said his whole helmet turned sideways. And he said he took off running. He could only just see out the side hole, the ear hole. I'm like, this is so fucked up. Why are you saying this story of all stories?
It's just like, this is going good, right?
It's going good. It's going good. Don't no one say nothing because you will get shot.
Okay.
But interesting. I feel like I've been to a lot of celebrations of life. And that's kind of what this one felt like. Some of the others felt like as well. Been a pallbearer at one. I think that was my grandmother's. Might have been my brother's and my grandmother's. And that was my grandma's because I remember the outfit, blue shirt. And then I think it was my mother's for sure. And then my brother. I've been pallbearer for three. Those caskets are heavy as shit. FYI, if you're a pallbearer and anyone has to do that, very heavy. Very heavy. And it's like terrifying because if you drop that, you're dropping like a person.
Oh my gosh. If you
you're screwed.
It's bad.
You're screwed.
There's this movie called Mouse Hunt where they're holding a casket. They're going down, it's raining. They drop it, it falls down the stairs, body flings out, goes into the sewer.
No. So funny. Well, that's in my nightmares now.
Terrible.
It went ding, and then the body went somersaulted right into the sewer.
All right, Bobby.
Bobby. Bonk.
So this scene, I'm gonna tie it into this. I'm gonna kick it back.
Yeah.
Scene was interesting, man. And then we'll get into some survival stuff.
Yeah.
They were up there preaching, and I forgot on how they don't show no emotion the whole movie. This is the first time you ever seen emotion. Again, another reason why I get choked up, because you see them as this stoic, kind of angry, aggressive individual. And then for them to be like sad and teary-eyed, and you can hear like the vibrations in her voice. It's like she's choked up, which isn't normal for her character. Like, ooh,
Right.
she's like legit. This is good acting right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still stuck on the fact that there was no one in the room.
So,
That's hard.
so I want you to talk about this. So that scene, how awkward and weird was that scene, or what did you like about that scene?
What I really liked was the fact that Susie took it upon herself to, when she walked in and she saw that no one was there, she took it upon herself to create a moment where this, this person was seen in his last moments, to create a moment where he is given his flowers. Even though she referenced throughout her speech that she never took the time to give him his flowers, but
Yes.
she gave him every flower she possibly could, and even allowed it to be a call of action at the end that she was going to move forward and trying to continue giving folks their flowers, finding those people of the world. I thought that was really interesting. I loved her use of the word fuck because, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, grief is ghetto, growth is ghetto, life is ghetto. Adulthood is the worst hood I've ever lived in. So I think she truly just embodied that in that scene, but she made it a beautiful moment, even though it very well could have been pretty bad. I like that.
Do you think you could ever do what she did?
Hey everyone, I wanted to give a special shout out to our collaborator, Two Nerds Candle Company. Not only do they have great products, but they are also giving back to a great cause. You can tell that they take a lot of pride in making their candles. My favorite is Spock's Monday Coffee. They are also donating 10% annually to support Women in STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. You can use our code DSP or go to our link tree to get 20% off your entire order. We think that this company is great, and we think you will too. So go check them out.
Did is crash a party and be like, looky here, son of a.
Absolutely.
I feel like you could. I feel like you got that swag.
Hey,
Absolutely. I
fuck
have that.
all you people who are unknown to this person. Fuck you. All right.
You're here grieving anyway, so extend some to someone else. It's
Yep.
okay.
Double on. All right.
Right.
Double on.
We can do this.
Absolutely.
I just thought it was so interesting on how. Let me back it up. They're like, hey, I feel like I'm underdressed for this. She's like, well, what would you have worn? I don't know. I could have worn a dress. She's like, you in a dress? Right. And so I feel like that's also something that we do for a lot of folks that are more masculine, more butch, or right, or folks that are queer. Like, you would have worn that? Yeah, I was a baby once. I wore a fucking dress. Piss off. I thought
I
that
look
was
good too.
Yeah.
Look good.
Yeah, like damn, it was cute as shit. I always say that to people. I'm like, yeah, my baby pictures are cute as fuck. Fuck off. It's cute ones. Jesus. Funny as hell scene, part of it. And then she sits in there and they say, I want to have one of the good friends stand up and, talk. She just sitting there playing with her, whatever it was. And and that's the same thing I was doing at the funeral, just playing with my
Because I know
tie.
you're not talking about me.
Who? Yeah.
I know you're not talking about me.
You said good friend. And then Mitch was like, who else do you think they're talking in here? Ain't no one else in here.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yeah. And then she has to get up and talk.
Yeah.
And she's like, fuck this. The way
Imagine identified as a close friend to someone.
Let's talk about that.
Wow. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I actually had this conversation with someone last week. You never know your impact on someone.
Talk about it.
Or your influence in their life. You really never know unless you take the time to explore it. And I think people, and I guess it depends on where you're from, but just in general, you're so used to moving on hyperdrive, being goal oriented, being focused on what you're doing, that you don't even really think about how you engage and how you invest in other people. Like she never realized her investment in his life. And I think that was crazy to hear. After he has already left, she can't even acknowledge that investment, that relationship they had. Like,
I bet you there's a lot of people out there that feel like they're closer friends than what they are, and they're actually, or people that feel like they're not close friends and they are closer. I bet you there's a lot of folks in that range. I feel like a lot of people these days really don't know who their friends are when they're growing up because everyone's so socially anxious. there's so many acts and scripts that people are playing, and so they just never can really authentically be themselves, and so they never really know if that friend likes them. And then the people are so closed off. They're like, well, I know them, but they're not my actual friend. I've never, the older I get and the more therapy I've done, the more and more I see students where they have like zero friends. Just a bunch of people they know and fuck with, but not like any really good friends. They've never had any really good friends. And I'm like, damn. It's hard for me to understand it because I've had good friends at every single place I've ever went. Except for this current one. I got like 2 people I really like. I just don't hang out with them that much. But life's been busy too. COVID, doctorate, shit got busy.
Yeah.
But everywhere I've went, I met like really awesome people that I've like dug down with, and we've hung out multiple times everywhere I've went. And so it's always hard for me to find these people like, you just never found anyone? Do you leave your room? Yes. So do you push people away? No. They're like, I'm just terrible. I'm like, well, part of that's true. You're a little fucking weird.
You're a weirdo. Remember that. Like,
But I'm like,
thanks. That helps.
Yes, Spence. And how come you didn't find the other weirdos? Well, they're too weird. Fuck you. That's not judge. Okay. I just saw you eat a Lego. So
Why'd you let them? Why'd you let them eat a Lego? Why'd you stop them?
They
You're
need to learn.
Let them be weird.
They need
Let
to
them
learn.
be weird.
Let me validate you right now.
It was one of those like 6-prong ones too. It wasn't one of those itty bitty ones.
Christ. It's just interesting. And so I feel like a lot of people could fall into this. What Susie is because you just don't know who your friends are. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's your issue, but I feel like our age and up, everyone 30 and up, like we know who our friends are.
Right. I mean, and you know what? I think there's just, it's kind of funny. There's so many caveats to that. Like you have your professional friends, you have
True.
your, day one friends, you have your, friends that you just, you guys have more of a, I don't know, a give and take type relationship. And what I'm realizing, I think that, in younger years, just kind of looking at, reflecting on my own stuff, transactional relationships were so normal. It was so normalized.
What
like
does
you
that
were
mean?
friends.
What does that mean?
So transactional relationships, when you have an engagement with someone, but you're having it because you can get something from them. It's a give and take. So, you give me this, I give you that. And it's an ongoing relationship built on that transaction. Okay. The foundation is authentic.
Got it.
And I think those relationships kind of rule in a society like ours, because at the end of the day, the mighty dollar is the focus, Yep. When folks are building relationships off transaction or what I can get from you or what you can do for me, it kind of limits the ability to really get comfortable to be yourself, to be authentic, to get comfortable peeling back the layers. You don't have to peel back the layers if it's transactional.
No, you're right.
I think people don't go below the surface, really. It's like surface level interactions.
So that makes sense in a money-based capitalistic society. And then it also makes sense because people are just go. And I feel like we just don't get to see people. I remember the speech at my graduation for my master's. She goes up there, Stephanie, she goes up there and she, for one, she makes fun of me in front of this crowd of like 400 people. Like, I know somewhere out there Nas is crying, so I'm going to cry, but it's okay because Nas is crying. I was like, fuck you. How dare you call me out as I'm like crying. And like, I didn't even hear her say that. And everyone's just like laughing and looking at me. I'm like, what happened? I cry a lot. As one of my clients say, you cry a lot. I was like, yeah, go fuck yourself. That's why you can't even cry, depressed ass.
Jesus Christ.
Well, come forward. Oh, why don't you dance?
Yeah.
You're dead inside, so how about that?
Yeah. Let's deal with your issues first. Rub back.
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, facts. Opposite ends of the spectrum. She goes up and says, we need to do better as humans, as social workers, to look everyone in the eye. Meaning, seeing that everyone has worth and value instead of just walking past people on the street, acknowledge that they exist, even like homeless folk, who don't matter what it is. And I always try to lead this practice in real life I try to teach client this in some other area, and like clients in New York, they're like, I ain't doing that shit. That shit's weird. I'll get fucking ran out of town. A couple weeks go by. She's like, I made a new friend because I like talked to someone and looked at them in the park. I'm like, look at you. I'm like, did you get abducted? No? Oh, okay.
They had duct tape and rope. It was great.
Yeah. But like there's trueness to that. Is we so majorly struggle as a society to acknowledge other people, to look at people, to help people. But you're not that busy. You're really not that busy. You really aren't. Like in these road rage thingies, you're really not that busy. When you're in the supermarket and someone asks you a favor, you're really not that busy to not help out that old lady. I saw someone struggling the other day coming out of, not JCPenney, that's old school, Kohl's, still old school. I said, ma'am, you need any help? She's like, I got it, son, thank you. I'm just making sure. She was struggling. She said, my car's right here. I was like, all right. Other people might not have done that, but I felt like that was the right thing to do because I thought of my father walking and carrying something. I'm like, you ain't about to fall while I'm watching you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Someone else, some other asshole can watch you fall. I ain't watching you fall. I was going to take my time out of the day to help her, but she was fine. I just feel like we struggle at existing with others or sitting with others because we're so uncomfortable about silence or connecting. I feel like a lot of neurodivergent folks that are listening to this, yeah, they know what this experience is because we're so uncomfortable. What were you going to say, Doc?
I was sitting there thinking about what you were saying, talking about that being uncomfortable with connection. And I was like, you know what? It really takes you, like the person, taking the time to get to know themselves and getting uncomfortable within themselves to actually take the time to get to know someone else. Like the investment that it takes to actually get to know someone else, see their ugly, and still be accepting of them, to see they're awesome, and still be invested, even if they're doing better than you or they're going in a different, I don't know, going down a different journey. Oftentimes folks get so caught up in, I can only, what's that stupid saying? Birds of a feather flock together, or something.
Yeah.
And, when you really sit there and think about it, that's stupid. Why are you trying to surround yourself with only people that are doing the same thing as you or look like you or, your mirror image? How are you being challenged as a person? How are you peeling back the layers and getting to know someone in a different way, helping someone in a different way?
There's other people, there's other flavors, cultures. I mean, how else do you learn other than traveling and moving and talking and investing? I just don't understand how you could sit next to someone and not ask a few questions, to not listen, to just shut up and listen. As my father said repeatedly over my life, shut up and listen. And then finally, as I gotten older, 26, 27, 30, he's like, you can talk now. I'm like, okay, now, motherfucker, now. The other day, I come back from the funeral and I was talking, and he said, "You still dumb as shit. You the smartest, dumbest motherfucker I ever met." I'm like, "I appreciate you, Dad."
Dr. Nas.
Dr. Nas.
Dr. Nas, at your service, the dumbest, smartest motherfucker you'll ever meet.
He's gonna watch this tomorrow and be like, "What the fuck?"
You took the words out of context.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know I love you though.
You dumb as shit, but I love you.
The other day when we were saying goodbye, when I was getting ready to drive to the funeral 5 hours away, and instead of hugging him, I just like brushed his shoulder like this.
Such a fucking weirdo. God damn.
I gave him a hug after that. He was like, "That's it."
I'm sure you did. It's your weird affection. God. I wasn't loved. Yeah, we know.
Wax
God,
on,
just hug him.
wax
Jesus Christ.
off.
What are you waxing on and off?
I don't know, chest hair?
Feelings.
Yeah, feelings.
Yeah. There you go.
You're right. Folks that are listening to this, I hope that you find ways to sit with others, to ask questions, even if you don't give a shit about the answers, to ask questions, maybe things that could be trigger points to lead to further conversation. Pay attention to clothing, earrings, jewelry, pins on backpacks, stickers, hopefully our stickers. Pay attention to random things, different cultural things that they'll have in their car, in their house, pictures, emblems, video games, movies that are on the shelves, books that are on the shelves. There's so many things to draw from to create a conversation. I don't know what to talk about. Open your fucking eyes and you'll find something to talk about. And then you just simply ask, tell me more about this. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. What is that? And then you just listen, even if you already know what it is. Oh, shit, you like Pokemon? What's that one card right there? Well, I like that's one of the shiny ones. And then they'd be like, well, let me tell you about this. And then you just listen. You want to have some fun? You want to have some fun. Listen to a neurodivergent person talk about their special interest. That shit, to me, is invigorating. Because you will know so much badass shit about that one thing. And it'll be so in-depth and detailed. And you will watch that person just light up like they're the center of attention, like they're the prettiest girl in the room. And to make someone feel like that they are just the one, is awesome. And maybe that's your good deed, and maybe that's how you help other people. Because if Midge would have done that a few times, she would have found out more things just by asking questions.
If she would have taken pause.
Just a pause.
Right? Be in the present moment. What's going on right now? You know, this person, this box, this room is only so damn big. You know, inquire. Take that pause. And don't just move through life. Actually exist, actually live, actually experience it, especially with the people around you, because you never know when they're no longer going to be there by whatever circumstance that looks like. You know, taking pause is so important. Take pause, be in the present moment, build connection with someone else, even if you're connecting on something that you don't agree on. Connection is connection. Allow yourself the experience.
And then you can find more data points to see if this is a human that you want to be around more often and more frequently. And if not, then maybe there's a few things that you like, and then maybe they can introduce you to other people with a different subsection of categories that you would like to talk about. But networking is a thing that we need to do as social creatures. Not all of us, but 99% of us. As we get back to the funeral stuff, what tips do you all have for funeral stuff? Because I feel like mine is make sure that you're wearing comfortable clothing. As someone that sweats a lot, make sure that it's something that is like, you know, not going to show your under boob sweats like mine, right? You know, it's the thing. Your back sweat, right? And make sure your tie isn't tied too tight. Make sure that your shoes are somewhat comfortable. Make sure that you know your role in there where, you know, is it super, super nice and you got to wear a coat? Do you got to wear a dress? Do you got to wear like nice shoes? Or, you know, can you go a little bit more casual? Know your crowd. Make sure the clothing is okay. Make sure that you have something to fidget with would be my thing. So I have a tie. So I'm always playing with my ties at these things. If not, have something in your pockets, keychain, maybe chewing on some gum to help you regulate and de-stress. Maybe you're playing with the pamphlet or the prayer packet or the itinerary for the day, the obituary. Maybe that you have some lotion on, or you have that in your, you know, your purse or whatever it is. That way you can smell that scent and regulate yourself through the smell. I would find something to regulate with and make sure that you dress comfortable. That's my thing. And make sure you take breaks. If you're getting too overstimulated, then take breaks before, like they start the prayer stuff. You know, before they talk, like Spence said, the burial. Right before that, you have to do the drive. So make sure maybe before that or after that you take your break before you go to the dinner afterwards. If you decide to go to the dinner. I would say know when to take your breaks and know when to take your pause. As Olympia said, know your boundaries in those moments. Same thing with the eulogy thing you talked about. Know them in the social situations. Those would be my go-tos for surviving some of these funerals. What would be your tips for surviving funerals, Dr. Old and Spence?
Oh, gosh. I would say my biggest one is emotional bandwidth. Know your emotional bandwidth. If you are at a place where you can't speak, you know, whether it's the eulogy or just saying some additional things, don't allow pressure to force you into that situation. be authentic in that experience. Know your boundaries and your exits. For me, I'm a firm believer, and I got to sit by the door, because if I need to take a moment, I need to be able to exit, politely. If I need to be able to get to my car so I can take a moment, right, or go get something or whatever. You want to know your exit, know your bandwidth,
So
and be
maybe
honest.
so maybe sit on the outside of like the pew or the chairs. That way you don't have to excuse me. So that's probably a good tip. So sit on the
I don't
outskirts.
wear heels. I do not. It depends. If I know I'm not going to be doing too much getting up, maybe I will. But if I know I'm going to have to, regulate a couple times, I might need to wear flats so I'm not making noise as I continually go in and out.
Yep. Not too nervous and you stumble and then you trip because God.
I've actually done that. We're not going to go there though.
No, we
was
should
terrible.
go there. What happened?
Yeah, go there. What are you talking about? This is exactly where we need
This
to
is
go.
an anxiety podcast and mental health.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. Terrible. No, I just, very tearful, very upset during this specific funeral. And so I'm attempting to go out. I have these 3 or 4 inch heels on. No big deal, right? I normally can walk in them. On this particular day, we're in one of those more older, how do I say it, seasoned churches.
Okay.
That maybe there's 1 or 2 things going on, and it just so happened to be a leak coming from the top. So there's a little water puddle on the ground. So I'm moving a little too quickly trying to get to the door and just straight up face plant right in front of the back door, just all attention. It was terrible.
I would have died.
Was it like a noise? Me like, ah!
It was terrible. Yes. Everybody just kind of stopped and looked. And it was
like mini me.
You want to kind of ground crawl out the door.
You just military crawled out of there. Your legs are just dead behind you.
Everyone just starts saluting her. Just like America.
It was absolutely terrible. Did it cut the moment? Like, did it give a moment where everybody could kind of laugh, relax? Like, just a moment, yes. But I didn't want to
sacrifice your face for that.
Yeah, you didn't need to be that person. Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't need to be that person.
I did not. I didn't intend to create that moment, but
it happens. Some good tips. Any other tips for people on how to help maybe survive these emotional high times?
Definitely some grounding, breathing work. Take that time, even if you're in the pews, if you're on the way to the car, figure out what helps you ground. If you need dual stimulation, do your deep breathing while doing maybe some sensory touch, or using one of your using a fiddler toy, as you said, playing with anything that's kind of available. Really just allow and being honest about where you're feeling and what you're feeling in that moment. Maybe not, hey, talk to the random person next to you. This is how I'm feeling. But if it helps, bringing a small notebook with you and writing it down, addressing those presenting thoughts, but dismissing them in that moment so you can focus.
Okay. Okay. Anything that's helped you, Spence, in some of these weird, awkward, stressful, tearful situations, or is it just you just grit your teeth and you kind of get through it?
I mean, honestly, I think my advice would honestly be like, don't make it like about you for the day. Like,
true.
Make it about, because it's not only about the person that, passed away or something like that. It's also about the people around you. Yeah. Family, friends are also grieving at that time. So don't forget to kind of, assist them and kind of help them with their grieving as well, because they could be going through something that you may not be. So that's my kind of thing. It's just like, just don't make it about you for that day. Just make it about them. Like, you can make it one day without making it about yourself. You know what I'm saying?
So if it's not as close to you, then maybe don't get so much into your head and focused on yourself, is maybe try to get out of yourself and try to soothe the others, or help facilitate or whatever it is, right?
Do even like the littlest of things, helping people, because that could
tissues.
Help them. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just little things could help a person that's going through something harder than you. So that's kind of my thing.
I like that. Because that can get you out of your own head. That's something that I suggest with a lot of clients with pretty bad depression. Is like, maybe let's get out of your mind and let's go help some other folks. Let's go maybe do a little volunteer thing, get you some good mojo going, get you feeling good, like you contributed see someone else smile, or like go to the animal shelter. Like, let's maybe try that, and it usually works pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually works pretty well. I like that. You know, as you sit there and you see people grieving, so she's grieving this friend in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a very powerful scene, right? The voice, the articulation, you know, and you're just angry about someone that never got a fucking shot, never got a break, and they're just in the horrible room, horrible situation, horrible job. But maybe they were happy. That's one thing I think about. Maybe he was happy when he passed.
Yeah.
But it makes you think about never catching a break. And I think about the young boy, you know, to die from the diabetes, and maybe it wasn't med compliant, but like still, it's just a bad break.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the boy changed a lot after his pretty much secondary mom, his grandma died, and that changed everything. Changed a lot of stuff in that family. And they said he was the glue that kept the family together after that. This boy, he would have the
Mm-hmm.
cookouts and organize things. A young man would organize having his entire family come together, aunts, uncles, kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks to see like someone actually good pass. Someone that's trying to do something to help heal, liberate, inspire, empower, and then they pass. Why is it them that pass? Why are, as she said, Susie, some of these other assholes, they get everything. I have clients that talk about this all the time. They get everything. They've got the money, they've got the health, they went to the better schools, they get everything. It's bullshit, Nas. I hate my cousins, or I hate these other people for this or that. And I said, life isn't fair. What do you want me to tell you? I can't therapize this out of you, bro. This is not a
Mm-hmm.
therapy thing. This shit's going to kill you. So I think about someone like that in the situation, like her being so angry about all these other assholes, but maybe there's a lot of good people that catch a lot of good breaks. I was just talking with another therapist. Good shit happens to bad people. Bad shit happens to good people. It's just a mix. You just don't know. It's so random to me. Life is odd. Life is very odd. And I don't know how to therapize these things with people. And I don't know if you've therapized people like this. It's hard.
Listen, as much as I hate to say it with that specific thing, it's a level of acceptance, right?
Yep.
Just kind of going, and there's a difference between accepting something that you cannot change, like it's literally outside of your control to
You
change,
can't.
and accepting something that's within your control to change. So I work often with clients on kind of identifying what can I change and what can I change. And let's be honest, how is this serving me or not serving me? What is the core problem here? And with that specific situation, it sucks. This guy should have had at the very minimum so many people that he's impacted that investment. At the
Someone.
minimum, they could have been there,
Yep.
right? But I dare say, with her being there and taking the action that she took, she gave probably more than what a lot of other folks would have
I
in
agree.
being there and identifying him and what he's done in his life. So I don't know. I dare say I don't therapize it either. I encourage acceptance,
Yep.
but not acceptance that doesn't yield some kind of action.
Yeah. So not
So
acceptance where you just lay in your corner and you die. It's you keep moving and building and
right.
in spite of. With both of our hands tied behind our backs of folks of color, I still got to the pinnacle where you're at. So even though I told the young man, so they got everything, and you're at a better school than they are. But I could have had it easier. I said, you also could have been a piece of shit and lazy. I said, I used to have these arguments or thoughts in my head about me and my family and my father. And my father once said, you also could have been a horrible person if I would have stayed out of prison. You could have been spoiled. You could have been rotten, mean. You could have been out in the street. Who knows what you would have been doing? But instead, we went the other choice, and things happened, and now you become this educated, empathetic young man, and you're doing good and got a good career and a good life. So how could you be mad at that? I think about what it would have been like if I continued to play football in college instead of quitting. Because I quit football because I thought I was going to be a medical doctor or a physician's assistant or a physical therapist. That was the goal, the secondary goal. But I was doing this pre-med degree, and I quit because of that. If I would have known I was going to be a counselor or social worker, I probably would have kept playing ball because I didn't need the highest GPA. But if I would have kept playing ball, my brain probably would have been mush. Got a concussion first day, probably would have been probably like these other CTE folks and like bipolar shit and like killing my own family. Like, who knows? Who knows what could have happened in this divergence of life? What I do know is that things turned out really well. And I accept that instead of being angry at the things that I think could have went well. Because they also couldn't have. Life is so interesting.
The way she described him, it sounded like he was very, even though it was a shit situation, definitely could have been a better funeral depending on what your perception should have been. Should have been more butts and seats, but would it have been anything more than that? You know, butts and seats.
My sister said, Spencer, she said, it was interesting. I said, what? I said, you didn't tell anyone about your graduation. I said, I told the people I wanted to go. She's like, I noticed that. So I said, it was a small crowd. She said, I've noticed that. It was just you, your friends, and Dimitri. I said, yep, that's what I wanted. I didn't want a show. I needed someone to be there to wheel my father around. That was it. Didn't. There was only one other person that wanted to come that wasn't able to come because of the baby. That was it.
Yeah.
People I wanted there were there. She said, okay, I see how it is. I said, this is no knock on you or anyone else. This is just the way I wanted it.
Right.
She said, we need to throw a party for you. I said, okay, we can do that maybe one day, you know. It's not a thing I'm really worried about. I don't know if the volume of people means something. It's the value of people that means something. As me and Spencer talk about all the time, quality versus quantity. So at that funeral for the young man, rest in peace and power, there's a lot of people there. And a lot of people loved him to death. And you can tell that he was one of the good ones. So this is what I want to reflect on. As he stayed, we just did the thing on Moonlight, Spence. He stayed that good kid. He stayed the young Chiron the entire time. I'm like, how did he do this? Because even I didn't do that. Even I was a nasty, mean son of a bitch and getting into fights and drinking too much at times to deal with trauma. And I was a son of a gun. And maybe he was too. I don't know. But from what I heard, they said he was nothing but love. So I'm glad he stayed that way because that's who he was as a kid, where I was being hyper masculine as a kid and beating the shit out of everyone, including him. So that made me feel good that some of us do get to stay who we are instead of the world like polluting us. I mean, I'm back on track now, right? I mean, I course corrected after my master's program. And then I had some really good teachers. One of them was Dr. Owens. We called her Dr. O or Mama O. And then some other mentors that come out of Flint that were also addicts, but also directors of social work. And then I met a really good woman and started dating her, and then life just changed. And you're like, oh shit, I can actually, the soft version of Nas is the one that people really, really like, not this idiot, not this clown. So it made me think of that. What do people stay with, and how do they keep their personality the same without completely rewriting the script of some idiot or monster or TikTok influencer? Because it's so fake. You can tell the ones that are fake on Instagram that are therapists and coaches, the ones that are real. All the ones that we've had on are pretty real.
Yeah. You have bikini pictures on your Instagram, on your feed, while you're like, get therapy. It's just like, okay, all right, buddy. Okay.
There's body positivity, and then there's
There's body
this other
positivity,
thing.
and then you're just like, you're selling something else.
You're selling something else now. Because I'm all about body positivity and all this stuff, and some folks it's different. Some folks
have a separate account at least. Don't put like therapy shit and then like bikini pictures in the same one. Separate them. It's okay.
It'd just be interesting, man, on how some people are just like selling these tropes. I heard one lady the other day, and I hate talking negative. I'm gonna say this and I'll be done.
Well, I do.
Big time therapist in the social realm. And they go, oh, yeah, it sure seems like everyone's saying the same shit and parroting the same stuff all the time. And right, it's just really nothing new out there. It's all the same. I was like, yeah, no shit. You're one of them. You're one of the people saying the same thing about boundaries over and over. Like, get a new thing. And I'm not saying that we don't. We say a lot of the same stuff too, but we're different. We're more real. We're more authentic. We do different things. We invite
Yeah.
people that I feel like are good people. Sometimes we've taken some shots on some folks.
Yeah.
But everyone's been real. And not
And
once
yet
did
nobody
someone
wants
say,
to buy my nudes. It's bullshit.
Jesus. Well, that turned.
They might be overpriced. Maybe
Damn it.
you know, maybe
$20 too much? Shit. All right.
lower the
That might be
price.
over.
You know,
But
To
I
the
saw.
size?
Okay.
They
lower
need
the
to be
price point. You know?
to scaled.
Just an almond.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, actually, we got another divergence that's gonna happen. It is what it is. But in a second, Olympia, did you have anything to add to some of the things I just said or no?
Hey, are you a nerd? Do you like pins? If you're like any of our followers and you said yes, you should check out our collaboration with Pinfinity. They have Power Rangers pins, Transformers pins, and for all of our bronies out there, My Little Pony pins. Go check out our link tree or use our code DSP to get 20% off your Pinfinity order today. Hey, this is your co-host Spencer, and I'm bringing you a special message from our collaborator, Silver Dollar Candles. They have great scents to go with great messages, just like Best Dad Ever, True Crime and Chill, and my personal favorite, When This Candle Is Lit, Give Me That. You can also make your own candle and message that fits you. So go use our link in our link tree to get your order placed with Silver Dollar Candles today.
Oh my goodness, just authenticity. And it actually takes, yeah, I know we're talking about boundaries and, you know, everybody's saying it, but I would dare to add on with the whole boundary thing. It takes a level of authenticity in order to maintain a healthy boundary. It's easy to send out your public representative and, you know, dive into one of those extreme, you know, either one of those extremely unhealthy boundary types because you're not being yourself. It takes
Correct.
a lot of work and effort to be somebody else.
It does.
So I think people feeling safe and allowing themselves to build authentic connections just kind of encourages them to continue being themselves and growing into whoever they are. Because I think our experiences, the people we meet, that's kind of what motivates us becoming us, whoever that is, you know? So, yeah, that's all I had to add on it.
I remember at my old school at St. Mary's, my boss, I bought all these toys and this big teddy bear. A big 6-foot teddy bear at Costco. And I look at my father and he says, buy it. The validation and the compassion and the love. It's like, okay, cool. I didn't want to buy it. And he said, buy it. Your girls will love it there. All my neurodivergent girls in our group therapy. So we bought it. And my boss looks at it and she goes, I love it. I'm like, that felt good. That's when I feel like I was good. That's when I started buying all the toys and the stuffed animals. My pops gave me the go ahead. My boss gave me the go ahead. To be authentically me and neurodivergent as shit and just to be different and not be so clinical and stuffy. And I just got 5, toys in the mail. My dad's like, what are they? I'm like, they're actually dog toys, but, I'm not
That
supposed
one's
to say
still
that.
creepy as shit.
I loved him in Rocco's Modern Life, a little fat guy.
I know, but that does not look like him at all.
It looks just like him.
The body does. The mouth does not.
Yeah, the mouth's
Right,
weird.
because it's no teeth.
It's actually
thought he
super
had teeth.
soft. Did he? I don't know. You can't draw teeth. Oh, there is teeth.
Yeah, there's teeth. There's 110% teeth.
I see a little
Where?
white. It's like
Oh.
white.
Oh, white. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see that fucking
Yeah, you can't see.
yellow on white. My bad.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Authenticity. So this is we did this to talk about funerals, talk about this wonderful show. I think that a lot of women would enjoy watching. If you like comedic, like Spence, I even saw you laugh a few times. Like this show's actually got some really good fucking writing.
Well, I mean, anytime Lois Griffin is in any show, because that's the voice actor for Lois Griffin. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got some really, really, really good writing. The only thing I don't like is, it's just a bunch of really rich people in Manhattan crying about their lives. And I'm like, calm down.
I have less money now.
Calm down.
Really?
Oh, you got to go to work now. Oh, okay. Oh, you deal with
Oh, wow.
some
You
misogyny.
have to go to
Oh,
a bar and
yeah.
talk to a crowd.
Calm down. Yeah, like I'm sure you've
Wow,
been
you get
taking
to make
advantage of a
people
lot of
laugh
poor
for a
people.
living.
Yeah. I get it. I get
So
all
tough.
the women's issues in there, but I was also like, you're also super rich, so I don't feel that bad for you.
And you're white in the 50s. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Me too.
They were black in the 50s. It'd be a whole different story.
Whole different story, brother. Listen. But
Wouldn't even
I
be
did
let
love
in
the
the
show.
club. So just saying.
Yeah, I know, man. So that's why I was kind of on it for a while, but it's still very good, very good writing. I'm going to do a little pivot about authenticity because me and Spencer said we would do this, and I think you may enjoy this too. I'm not sure if you watch football. Congratulations, Deion Sanders and the Colorado. 2 weeks in a row they've gotten wins.
Colorado Boulders.
Football, college football, for those of you folks. I'm sure folks don't watch football. Some do watch football in here. This is going to lead in a whole new demographic of black coaches coaching at all levels. If he is successful, this will change everything.
Already is.
He's going to be successful. He's already successful.
He's more successful than everyone in the media thought he was going to be.
Correct.
And shout out to all the media members who were talking shit about him, saying he wasn't going to win anything, and like, oh, this is all stupid, what he's doing.
A lot of dog whistles that were racist, which they won't say that it was, but there's a lot of dog whistling.
And of course, now he's exactly proving everyone wrong, or all the doubters wrong, I should say, and actually doing something. And hopefully that leads into a lot more things for black coaches to have a lot more power to be themselves, be that authentic.
He talks his shit. It's Deion Sanders. He's one of the biggest trash talkers, flamboyant. And he coaches like that, and he coaches hard. And this team is awesome and kicking ass. And it's going to open the door for folks like me and you to be authentically us and to be known that because we may talk a certain way or dress a certain way, this does not mean that we are unintelligent or we don't deserve this job or position. This just means that this is our flavor, this is our seasoning. It's the same prime rib. It just got a little different chili pepper on it when it comes to me. And you was the Caribbean jerk, so just a little bit different.
Always, you know, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, yo.
You got a little jerk chicken, I got a little carne asada.
Don't play with me because I just finished cooking some, okay? So, yeah, absolutely. It got a little different flavor.
What do I have, like mashed potatoes? What the fuck?
I don't know what you got. You got chicken fried steak?
No, chicken fried steak. Jesus. Not from the South. God damn.
No, one of them Irish people eat. It's just fried pork.
It's potatoes and
potatoes and this fried pork thing. It's fucking awesome, dude.
What, just like a stew?
No. It's literally a fried pork chop. It's like a pork chop that's very thin, that's fried. So fucking good.
All right. Well, shout out to all my Irish brethren.
Yep. Oh damn, that shit might be German.
You're an idiot.
It's German.
There he is. Stupid smart guy. There it is.
Irish people got Guinness stew. I love stew.
God. Yeah. Shout out to Deion Sanders and what he's doing at Colorado. Because a lot of doubters, a lot of terrible people saying that he wasn't going to do anything. And shout out to his son who's killing it.
His son's a quarterback.
As a QB. Because that dude's going to go number one in the draft whenever he goes to the NFL. So,
did you hear his post-game speech, Spence?
No.
He goes.
Are you talking about Deion when he was talking to the reporter?
No. So this was his son, and his son said, "You know what? They disrespected our team, and they stood on the logo, and I got in the way of that, and I stopped them in the middle of the logo, and TCU's coach, Nebraska's coach, said you were talking all that stuff about my father and all this inappropriate stuff, and then we whooped your ass."
Yep.
So I had no respect for you before the game even started because how you talked about my father, and now what? Now what are you going to say after we just demolished you? I'm like, yes. That's what every young man wants to do to anyone that disrespects the family.
Yep. I love it.
My God, I loved it.
Also, shout out to, was it Coco Gauff?
Yep.
She just won the U.S. Open, 19 years old. And she's she's gonna be a great phenom when she's already a phenom now, but she's gonna go bigger and bigger. So shout out to her too.
Yep.
Shout out to all the black people winning.
All the black people winning.
All the black people winning.
This next generation is something interesting. I'm excited
Right.
to see just what the come up looks like. And as scary as it sounds for us, that means we're the next generation of leaders.
Stupendous.
Fun. Yeah.
Stupendous. It's
Shout
quite
out to
wonderful.
all of us.
I'm excited to see what the world has entailed for all of us, marginalized identities, but specifically folks of color. So I'm glad we got to shout out Dion and them, and then talk about how this will benefit all of us, even us social workers. Because
Yes.
people will have to take you seriously because we have better results than some of these other folks while we still talk our shit in our game. Right? That way me and O don't have to act white and put on this voice. We can still be the same and use the nomenclature. Some folks may not even know what that is. The verbiage. I love using that word in white spaces because, like, what's that word? I'm like, yeah, you stupid, ain't you? How you feel dumb, don't you?
You're a dumb white person. Shut up. Shut up.
Whenever you use big words around professional folks, right? They're like, oh, you're smart. You're one of the smart ones. I'm like, you're racist, aren't you? You didn't think I could read, huh?
Yes.
You know, it says Dr. Nas, asshole. It's funny. It's funny because the last podcast I said I couldn't read or spell.
Yeah, I know. Like, who's the dumb one now? What does that say? Oops.
Yeah, well, you're writing a book. So today we had two black individuals writing books.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Two authors.
You got two people right here that's not going to read it. So.
Nope. I'll read the back, maybe. Maybe.
I'll tell people about it.
I might look at the cover and be like, oh.
I know her.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Never touch that again.
Yeah, I've refused to read
I have to
the rest
read
of my
this
life.
big ass book. You think I'm gonna get to that? Look at this shit.
Jesus, what is that? Oppenheimer?
It's American Prometheus. It's about Oppenheimer. It's his biography. So
okay.
It's a big ass fucking biography.
That's a
that
big
dude neurodivergent as fuck.
Oh, guarantee it.
Yeah.
Detective.
Yeah.
How many times have you gotten distracted by reading this book?
Yeah, no, can't do that.
Yeah.
It's a great book. It's a great book though. Go check it out.
I know he saw the cover of that book. He got a cigarette. I like him.
There's a cool guy right there. Yeah. Cool guy. Love a guy with a cigarette.
Love a guy with a cigarette. He could have been a brother, but I still like him though.
Let me tell you. Hey, could have been.
He could
have been.
So that's kind of it for the pod. We gave some survival tips.
Yeah.
You know, how to survive some of these funerals. We know they can be overstimulating, deregulating, take your space. And also, you might not feel much. There were some things we talked about, obviously, about Dr. O's books that are coming out. We talked about ways to deal with some of the grief. We talked about some of this Black excellence that we've been seeing, which is very enjoyable. We talked about some of the things I've dealt with at funerals and maybe how to prep for some of these eulogies or know that they are difficult and it takes visualization. You will get deregulated. Setting some boundaries. I know these are supposed to be light days, and we had a lot of fun today, but it's something that I wanted to get to. And just because Midge or Susie acted like that in the funeral does not mean that you're going to act like that. It's just one person on what I related to. And the sadness and pain of not connecting with others can lead you feeling empty. So if someone passes and you didn't get that chance to connect with them, I could see you feeling the same way she did. So that's why I wanted to touch on it, is to make sure that all of you get connected to someone. As we were at the funeral, they said, Nas, all these people are fucking angry and they hate each other. And I said, you're right, man, it's horrible. I said, there's so many good people out there. And if you can't find one, you need to be one. He said, that's right, brother. There's too many good people in this world to not like talk, to not build connection, to not go eat a cheese pizza. There's too many good people. You got any seasoning for it? I'm done.
Give their flowers. Give people their flowers. And if you miss out on the opportunity to connect and you end up in a situation like Susie, consider ways that you can remember that person. Consider ways that you can move forward in life with them in mind. What does that look like for you?
Right.
So give them their flowers or plant flowers throughout the rest of your life in their memory. One of the two.
Yep. Very well said. Metaphorical
nice.
flowers, folks, in case you didn't catch that.
There you go. And then, Dr. O, do you want to give out some of your, once again, do you want to give out some of your shout outs for your pages / events that you're going to be at?
Yes, I'll be doing something for the National Association of Social Workers. That link is in my bio, as
Nice.
well as for the Social Work Wealth Conference. That link is in my bio. You can find me on Instagram at Through My Lens with an E Consulting. I'll be the one in yellow. Yeah. I can also be found online via Google, through my lens consulting services.com, or on Facebook.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on to the show. We love having you. Such a bright spirit. A great
Listen,
spirit.
hopefully you let me come back. Maybe we can do like a really, really girly show.
We can. Barbie will be out soon.
Barbie,
Listen.
Jesus. Like, this talks about all the feminism. All right.
Keep me
They
in
talk
mind.
about all the women.
All the women and men.
There's Kens in there too.
Little eye candy. He didn't have nothing to do with the show.
I ain't do shit. All right. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. Once again, go look at all of our great collaborations that you can get up to a 20% discount. Go check them out. Also, don't forget to go check out our merch, like the one right here, Different Not Less, or the one that Dr. O has, Neuro Spicy.
Spicy.
Yep, right there. There you go. Go check it out, and thank you for joining us. My name's Spencer, and that's Naz. This is the Different Spectrums podcast.
All right, everyone. I just wanted to say how much appreciation I have for all of you that have gotten this far in all these pods and has followed us this long. With these funerals, it's been tough, and much love to everyone that follows us. Much respect to everyone that follows us. And as we always say, take care of yourself.
Or don't.
And that's just completely up to you, homie, but I hope you do.
Here you go.
Peace.
Bye.
Go see your doctors.
Tell me what you